And welcome back. State Journal's Decision Makers, joined now by Charleston Mayor Danny Jones and the Majority Leader of the West Virginia Senate, John Unger. Thank you both. You've both been back on here the last couple times, and I want to just get right to the heart of this sort of gun debate. And John, you were the lead sponsor on the gun bill that was passed this past legislative session. In fact, I think wrapped everything up on Friday night. So tell me what that bill did.
Well,
Senate
Bill 317, its purpose is to make the gun laws uniform throughout the state. Particularly in the Eastern Panhandle of Martinsburg, there was a municipal building that was owned by the city of Martinsburg, but there was actually a private business in there, a restaurant.
They leased it.
They leased it, and they wanted to be able to allow people to be able to have their concealed weapons in there, but because of this grandfather clause within the law, they weren't able to do so. And so what this bill does is actually makes it uniform throughout the state so that all municipalities throughout the state will be following the same type of law.
All right, and Danny, your concern about it is?
It doesn't make it uniform. Number one, the state capitol he works in, well, it's illegal to take a gun on their property. It's illegal to take a gun in their state capitol building. These are not uniform.
But
this
it's,
was single,
but
singled
it's
out for
also,
Charleston.
under this bill, you can't take it into City Hall.
No, it is not. You can't. But what you have to do, you have to walk up and you have to tap the guy on the shoulder and say, please remove your gun. That's not what it says, and that's not what it does. And we can only remove, unless we catch him at the door at the Civic Center, we have to wait until we catch him inside if we can. Now, I don't know if you know what that might mean during the rough and rowdy when everybody up there is drinking beer and half of them are packing heat. We don't need that. It should be a felony to carry guns in those places.
Well, it is clear in the law that you cannot carry a gun into any municipally owned or operated building, which is the courthouse, the convention center, the city hall, the administrative buildings, and any other thing.
And look how it enforces it, John.
And no, it clearly states that you cannot do that.
Yes, no, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. It's right here.
And plus, it says on the property.
Well, let me read the
you can take it on the property. You can't take it on the property. You can't take it on your property, on your outside grounds out there at the state capitol. But you can take it on our property.
Well, let's go to the facts. It says a municipality may enact and enforce an ordinance or ordinances that prohibit or regulate the carrying or possessions of a firearm on municipally owned or operated buildings. Now, what does that say?
It doesn't say property. We're property. We're talking about the lawn and then to enforce it, you've got to walk up and warn the guy. You can't just walk up and arrest him. You've got to ask him. But let's talk about the rec centers. Define a rec center for us, John.
Before we get to,
the rec centers are where it's at, Bray.
Okay, but we'll get to the rec center.
Well, we only got a few minutes here.
Okay, well, we've got enough time to have this. I want to finish this. So going back up, I've read this law, and I actually think that factually John is correct. It says that you can keep it out of City Hall, you can keep it off of city property, you can even close down a street for 14 days and keep it off for the car show or for anything that you would have on a city.
It hinders the enforcement of the law. It changes the way we can enforce it now. Please keep reading, because that's what it does.
Well, I didn't see that.
Well, it's there. And you have to walk up when they're inside the place and then warn them.
No.
Please. Yes, it does, Bray. I know what's in that bill.
Well, how is it different than the way you do it now?
Because it's illegal to have it in it to begin with. It's illegal to have it in the building.
But it says it's illegal.
Well, Mayor, I'm sorry, I don't see that.
Well, it's there.
Okay.
It's there. Let's talk about rec centers.
Okay.
Because and read the definition of a rec center and where the state senator and his friends with the NRA want to put guns in our rec center.
But I did read it. I mean,
what does it say? What is a rec center?
What is a rec center?
Yeah, read the definition of a
well,
rec center.
I believe it is a. Yeah,
read
go
it.
ahead.
Municipally owned recreation facility means any municipal swimming pool, recreation center, sports facility housing, an after-school program, or other similar facility where children are regularly present.
Yeah, and they want to put guns in
That's
there.
not
No,
true.
Sir, that's
That
not
is
true.
true, Bray. What are you talking about?
Because let me read this. Okay, it says here that a municipality may enact and enforce an ordinance that prohibit a person from carrying or possessing a firearm openly that is not lawfully concealed in a municipally owned recreation facility.
If we provide them with a locker, listen to this, provide them with a locker?
No, sir, that's not how it reads. Provided that a municipality may not prohibit a person with a valid concealed handgun permit from carrying an otherwise lawfully possessed firearm into a municipally owned recreation facility and securely storing.
I mean, are we talking English
Securely
language
storing the firearm out
here?
of
So we're going to
view.
put the 17-year-old running the place?
That's not the case.
That is what the case. You don't run the rec center, Bray. We do.
Well, I understand,
Mayor,
but
what this says.
Tell me what it says. We know what it says. We have lawyers.
What it says is if you have a gun and you have a concealed weapon
it's
permit,
legal,
and you come
and
there,
where the Head Start program
it says here it has to be out of access to others during their time at the municipally owned recreation facility.
You've put us in the management of managing handguns.
No, sir.
That's what you've done, Bray. That's what you and
person-
your friend here.
the person-
That's what you've done here, John.
The person who who has it is responsible to securely store. That person is not you.
Yes.
So if I come and you cannot store that, I got to find a securely store.
That's what you
I
think,
cannot
John. That
carry.
doesn't what it means. It's a
That
nebulous
is
thing.
exactly
It'll wind
what
up in
it is.
court.
Danny, let me ask you this. Under the law as it was yesterday before this was all passed, or before it's signed by the governor, as it is today still, what happens if a person walks up to a rec center with a gun?
It's against the law. They can't take it in.
Right. And under this law, it's still they can't
No,
take
it's
it.
not.
Well,
Bray, you're not a lawyer. That's not what it says.
It's clear
now,
to
we've
me.
dealt with this. What are you? You're a state senator. You're the one taking orders. You're the one
doing this.
and you're the ones driving it. You're the one taking marching orders from the National Rifle Association. And you know what they had to do? They had to wait. Here's what they had to do. They had to wait until the NRA came into town that Monday morning so they could find out. Oh, we'll find out what we can put in the bill from this NRA guy that doesn't even live in the state of West Virginia.
Danny, I will tell you, I was on your side last week. I read this bill, and I don't think your interpretation is the
My
same.
interpretation is exactly what I said it was. We've had
I know what
lawyers
yours
look at
is,
it.
but I disagree.
And why do they signal out rec centers? Why did they write it in the bill?
Because
Bray?
what they said there was you could come up because you only have people. I can't believe I'm defending this bill, but
I can't either, Bray.
But if you're coming up to pick up your kid and you have
you can lock in your trunk.
Yeah,
and that is one of the options.
No, that's not.
That says securely stored.
No, it does.
You guys are both drinking the Kool-Aid.
We can read.
That's not what it says, Bray.
Mayor,
And what if the guy comes in with a gun and he presents it to the 17-year-old running the place, said, where's the locker for the gun? We don't have one.
Out of 134
he can't take it in.
There should be a felony to bring it on that property,
But
just
it's
like
no
it is
di-
in a school.
it's no-
Just like it is in a school, Bray. But you know what? These kids are poor and they're
They
minorities.
can't take it in.
Oh, yes, they can,
Well,
Bray.
that's
You're not a lawyer. You don't know what you're talking
You know
about.
what? I can read, and I
And I can
understand.
read too, and we have lawyers interpret this bill, not some knucklehead up the legislature.
Well,
That's what this says. They wouldn't have interpreted. They wouldn't have come up with a definition of a rec center if they didn't want people to carry the guns in it. And here it is.
I think it's as clear as black and white.
And so do I.
Well, then I guess we just disagree.
We sure do. And so do our lawyers. And so do his buddies at the NRA.
They're not my buddies at the NRA.
That didn't even bring it up.
Bray.
When they were telling people to do the robocalls. They didn't bring up that they were putting guns in our rec centers. That's what it does.
Bray.
Get a lawyer to read it for you, Bray.
Final word, John.
Bray, it passed unanimous out of the West Virginia Senate, and it also
That's more reasons it's wrong.
overwhelmingly passed 92-5 in the House.
God bless those five
And
people.
so the idea that the NRA is controlling all this
Telling him they
is
give
not,
him his marching
correct.
orders. He got his scorecard.
All right. We got to run. Thank y'all both. Be back with a final word after this.